What is up, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about some JDM goodness coming in 2021. Stay tuned. Cars the likes of the 400Z, the speculatory new GTR, and the new Toyota GT86/BRZ. We'll also chat about some speculation on the likelihood of a new Toyota Celica, the possibility of a new Mitsubishi Evo, and maybe even something as crazy as a new 3000 GT. It started off talking about some things that were confirmed for 2021. Nissan has confirmed we will be seeing a 400Z sometime in 2021. The estimated price for the base is going to be in the 45-ish range, ranging all the way up to 53 for the Nismo, which puts it in the territory of the Supra. The car is expected to have a V6 twin turbo engine as well, with roughly 300 horsepower, similar to the engine in the Q60. But there is speculation that the Nismo or some of the higher variants could also get the engine out of the Q60 Red, which is closer to 400 horsepower. Either way, turbo engines from the factory generally have good tuning capability, so it wouldn't be surprising to me that that 300 horsepower very easily becomes 6. We also expect the 400Z to be rear-wheel drive, have probability for a dual clutch or some sort of split-second automatic transmission, and it's also expected that it'll still be manual transmission for those who want it. With the Nissan Z cars having such a great heritage as being true driver's cars, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the 400Z doesn't get touted as one of the best driver's cars to come out in this decade. Amid all of Nissan's interesting news right now, it wouldn't surprise me if there was struggles with this launch. This launch, as well as the speculation on the new GTR. It is expected that a new GTR will come out soon. Nissan has stated that it will be coming, that something is coming, but they can't give us any details on what. So we'll have to wait and find out on that one. More information on that later though. Now let's talk about some new stuff from Toyota. The Subaru BRZ, Toyota GT86 were immediately well received by just about everyone, as the market was very undersaturated for good rear-wheel drive, affordable sports cars. Everybody loved the car. The driving dynamics were great. The way it drove was good. Everybody only had one complaint. It just didn't have enough power. So, as Toyota and Subaru are slated to launch a new GT86 BRZ pair in 2021, we were super excited to hear that there'll now be a turbo variant making upwards of 250 horsepower. So according to reports, the new car will make excess of 255 horsepower, will have dramatically increased quality of materials in the interior, and with updated styling, higher quality interior materials, and upwards of 255 horsepower, the new GT86 BRZ combo was going to give the new Miata a run for its money. As we've seen with some of these new launches, the JDM car market's really trying to reach back to its roots and grab some of the following that it had in the early and late 90s. Some of those die-hard Japanese car fans that have moved on to the likes of BMWs and other things because there just wasn't much fun stuff coming out of Japan. But they clearly realized that there is a market for it, and they're making efforts to try and bring back some of the market shares on sports cars. We see all of them reaching out. Honda with the newish Type R, the GT86 when it came out, the new Supra being launched. Nissan's trying to get back into it. Nissan was, in fact, maybe the first one to really do it with its the R35, the new GTR. So we weren't surprised when we started hearing rumors of things like a new GTR, maybe a new Celica, maybe Mitsubishi trying to bring back things like the Evo or the 3000 GT, all of which would be awesome, and they're all great. They were all great platforms that we'd like to see come back. Hopefully the Japanese automotive manufacturers continue pushing through and bring us some awesome new cars in 2021. Toyota made a statement a few years back that they were working on bringing back their trio, the big three 90s cars. So they had the Supra, they had the MR2, and they had the Celica GT4 All-Track. So they had an all-wheel drive, two-door coupe that was one of the coolest cars ever made. The MR2, also one of the coolest cars ever made. Little four-cylinder, mid-engine, Japanese Ferrari-ish thing. Wonderful car. As well as the Supra, the big brother to all of them, the just big turbo, monster power car. And with that being said, that they had made that assertion that they were going to work on bringing those three cars back, I could see in the future we're going to get something four-wheel drive, whether it's the new Corolla hatchback, whether they give us a four-wheel drive variant of that, which would also be really cool, or potentially making the GT86 BRZ, coming out with a four-wheel drive version of that, which would also be a very cool car. But hopefully, in the near future, we might also see a mid-engine MR2-like platform come back to life, which would be the car to get, for sure. So much fun to drive, guaranteed. Another speculatory car that we hear about maybe coming back is from Mazda. There's been a lot of rumors running around about an RX9. Again, it's all speculation, and it's even more speculative when you hear people talk about rotaries. I'd love to see it in a rotary. I'm not sure, unless Mazda's really made large strides in what the rotary engine can do with regards to fuel economy, power, torque. Most manufacturers nowadays strive to have very comparable torque figures to the horsepower, just because that's what people want nowadays. I mean, you see the electric car push, and people love that torque at the bottom end. Most people aren't on the highways winding their cars out, or on a track winding their cars out. So all people get to do is go from stoplight to stoplight. So where do you feel power when you're going stoplight to stoplight? In the early RPMs of the power band. That's where we want to feel it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did something different than just a standard inline something combustion engine, but a rotary, I'm just not 100% sure. Maybe they've got some cool new technology they've put into it, and it would be the coolest car to come out. Who knows? We're all looking forward to some fun Japanese cars to come back, right? So the RX9, maybe? That'll be cool. I've read rumors about new Evos, new 3000 GTs, and several new platforms coming out of the Japanese market. And all of them are really exciting, to be honest. So it'll be cool to see what comes out of the Japanese car market in the near future. I mean, some of the best cars, the best performance cars ever made came out of Japan in the 90s. And we're starting to see some of those cars increasing in value well in excess of their original cost. And, you know, good condition, low mile versions of these cars, six figures, 90s Japanese cars. It should have been obvious at the time, with how good the cars were and how much of a cult following those 90s Japanese cars had, that they would all become great valuables. They would have the heritage. And as people from our generation get to a position where they are monetarily able to buy their childhood dream cars, those cars that are rare and in good shape now are gonna be very valuable. I mean, it's quite obvious in hindsight. So when you hear about the Japanese manufacturers trying to maybe feel less boring, I mean, Toyota, prior to the Supra, for the last decade and a half-ish probably, you know, back to the 2000s, mid-2000s, I want to say, was the last time they had something really sporty with the MR2 Spider. But other than that, I mean, the Corolla XSI, I think is what it was called, the 2ZZ variant of the Corolla, it looked like every other Corolla. It wasn't cool, it wasn't anything. It had a great engine, made good power, but it just wasn't a cool car. So all these manufacturers making the effort to try and regain some of the sports car market is really exciting for me. As we get new developments with regards to Japanese sports cars, I'll keep you guys updated. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.